Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive into a world that's absolutely essential to all of us, but that we rarely think about.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
It's the fascinating world of how our cells communicate with each other,
It really is
like
fascinating.
a microscopic social network, constantly buzzing with messages that determine everything about how our bodies work.
Absolutely. And today we're going undercover to decode one of the most crucial conversations happening inside you, the Notch signaling pathway.
It's a pathway that plays a role in almost every aspect of our development and health, and we're going to break it all down for you.
That's good.
Our guide for this cellular adventure is an article titled Unraveling the Complexity of the Notch Signaling Pathway, a key player in development and disease.
Great article.
Yeah, it's written by Umang Tyagi, a researcher at University College Dublin.
Yeah, she really knows her stuff.
So before we jump into the nitty-gritty, I have a question for you.
Okay, sure.
Have you ever wondered how your body knows how to make a heart that's different from, say, your lungs? I mean, they're both made of cells, right?
That's a great question, and that's where Notch signaling comes in. It's like a master architect, ensuring that every cell in your body knows its role and plays its part perfectly.
So it's not just about individual cells making decisions, it's about coordinating them to build an entire well-you.
Precisely. And the way it does this is through a fascinating system of receptors and the ligands.
Okay, receptors and
Yeah,
ligands.
you can think of it like a bustling city with doors that only open with specific keys. The receptors on the surface of cells are like those doors, and the ligands, which are on other cells, are the keys.
Okay, so I'm picturing these little cellular doors, and each one needs a special key to unlock it.
Okay.
But there are different types of these keys and doors, right?
You got it. There are four main types of Notch receptors, Notch 1 through 4,
Okay.
and five main types of ligands, delta like 1, 3, and 4, and jagged 1 and 2.
Ah, so there are more ligands.
Yep, and here's where it gets really interesting. The specific combination of receptor and ligand that interacts determines the message that gets sent.
Okay, so it's like a coded message where different key and door combinations create different codes.
Telling the cell exactly what to do.
Whoa, so it's not a one-size-fits-all signal. Different combinations lead to different outcomes.
Right.
Now, tell me more about what happens once that key unlocks the door. What goes on inside the cell?
Well, that's where the real action happens.
Yeah.
The article breaks down this process into four key steps. Think of it like a chain reaction, starting with that initial unlock.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into this chain reaction. What's the first step?
The first step is, of course, ligand binding. That's the key fitting into the lock, triggering the whole process.
Got it. The door is unlocked. Now what?
Next up is proteolytic cleavage.
Proteolytic cleavage.
Yeah, I know it sounds a bit intimidating, but it's actually quite simple. It's basically a cutting process where an enzyme called gamma secretase snips off a piece of the receptor.
Wait, why are we cutting things up? It seems a bit drastic.
Haha, don't worry, it's all part of the plan. This cutting releases a very important part of the receptor called the Notch intracellular domain, or NICD for short.
NICD.
Yeah, this little guy is the real messenger, carrying the signal into the heart of the cell.
So NICD is like the top secret message that was hidden inside.
Uh-huh.
Now it's free to deliver the instructions.
And where does this message need to go?
To the control center of the cell, the nucleus. That's where step 3 comes in nuclear translocation. NICD travels from the cell's surface all the way to the nucleus.
So NICD is on the move. What's waiting for it in the nucleus?
Well, think of the nucleus as a grand library filled with blueprints for building proteins. NICD teams up with a protein called CSL, and together they find the specific blueprint needed.
Okay.
That's step 4, target gene activation. It's like flipping a switch, turning on the production of the protein that will carry out the instructions encoded in the signal.
So this tiny NICD, released by a snip of an enzyme, travels to the nucleus and activates specific genes based on the initial message. That's incredible.
It's pretty amazing. We've gone from a bustling city to a top-secret message delivery system, all within our own cells. But I'm guessing this is just the beginning, right? This Notch pathway does a lot more than just tell individual cells what to do.
You're absolutely right. Now that we understand how this amazing signaling pathway works, we can explore how it influences crucial developmental processes, from building your brain to shaping your organs.
This is where it gets even more interesting. We'll be back in a flash to explore the incredible role of Notch signaling in making you, you. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Notch signaling pathway.
We're ready to go even deeper.
That's right, we just uncovered the inner workings of this amazing pathway. It's like microscopic postal service delivering crucial messages inside our cells.
Exactly. And speaking of massive roles, are you ready to see Notch in action, orchestrating some of the most complex processes in human development?
Absolutely, I'm all ears. Where do we begin?
Let's start with something you use every single second of every single day, your brain.
Okay, the brain.
Specifically the process of neurogenesis, which is the birth of new neurons.
Okay, so Notch is involved in making brain cells. That's incredible.
It is, you see, during brain development, you have these special cells called neural progenitor cells.
Neural progenitor cells.
Yeah, think of them as stem cells with the potential to become various types of brain cells.
So like a blank slate ready to be shaped into different parts of the brain.
Exactly. And here's where Notch steps in. It helps these progenitor cells decide their fate, whether they'll become neurons, the cells that transmit information, or glial cells, the support staff that nourish and protect neurons.
It's like Notch is a career counselor for brain cells, helping them choose their path.
Haha, I like that analogy. And it's crucial that this balance is maintained. Too many neurons or too many glial cells and the brain won't function properly. Imagine an office with only bosses and no employees, or vice versa, chaos.
That's a great way to put it. So Notch ensures a harmonious work environment inside our brain.
Right.
But it doesn't stop there, right? What other developmental wonders is Notch involved in?
Well, let's move from the brain to your blood. Notch is also essential for hematopoiesis, the process of making all the different types of blood cells in your body.
Wow, so the same pathway that helps build our brain is also responsible for creating our blood.
It is. You see, just like with brain cells, you have stem cells in your bone marrow that have the potential to become various types of blood cells.
Okay, so red blood cells to carry oxygen, white blood cells to fight infections.
And platelets to help with clotting.
Right.
And guess who's directing traffic, ensuring the right numbers of each cell type are produced?
Notch, of course.
Yeah.
It's amazing how this one pathway can be involved in so many different processes.
It truly is a master regulator. And if we delve a bit deeper into just one example, you'll see just how powerful Notch is. Let's focus on heart development.
Okay. Heart development. That sounds crucial.
Crucial is an understatement. You see, during embryonic development, Notch signaling is essential for forming the different chambers and valves in the heart.
So it's like Notch is building the walls and doors inside the heart, making sure everything is structured correctly.
A perfect way to visualize it. And without this precise signaling, you could end up with heart defects.
Like what kinds of defects?
Well, for example, a condition called bicuspid aortic valve, where the aortic valve only has 2 leaflets instead of the usual 3, can be linked to problems with Notch signaling.
Wow, so a tiny disruption in this microscopic pathway can have a huge impact on the development of a vital organ. It's mind-blowing.
And these disruptions can also lead to problems later in life.
Oh no, so this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, but that's a conversation for the next part of our deep dive.
I can't wait to uncover what happens when this intricate system goes awry. Stay tuned as we explore the link between Notch signaling and disease. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the Notch signaling pathway.
Yeah, are you ready to explore the dark side of Notch?
The dark side.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about all the amazing things that Notch does, but as with any powerful force, things can go wrong.
Right, it's like a superhero gone rogue.
Exactly. And when Notch signaling gets disrupted, it can have serious consequences for our health.
So let's talk about those consequences. Where do we even begin?
Well, one of the most significant areas where Notch dysfunction plays a role is in the development of cancer.
Cancer. But Notch is supposed to be this builder, this essential architect of our bodies. How does that connect to something as destructive as cancer?
Well, remember how Notch helps regulate cell growth and division? It's like a carefully controlled dance, making sure cells multiply at the right pace and in the right places.
Right, it's all about balance.
But in cancer, that harmony is disrupted. It's like some of the dancers go rogue and start stomping all over the dance floor.
So it's chaos.
Yeah, and that chaos can lead to the formation of tumors.
So Notch gone wrong can actually fuel cancer growth.
It can, and this disruption in Notch signaling has been linked to several types of cancer, including leukemia, breast cancer, and pancreatic cancer.
Wow, so it's not just one type of cancer, but many different types. Yeah. That's really scary.
It is, and it underscores just how impactful even tiny disruptions at the cellular level can be. But the story doesn't end with cancer. Remember our discussion about heart development.
Yeah. Notch building the walls and doors of the heart.
Well, Notch dysfunction also plays a role in cardiovascular
Oh
diseases.
no, so our hearts are vulnerable too.
They are. You see, when Notch signaling is disrupted, it can trigger an inflammatory response in the arteries, contributing to the buildup of plaque.
And that can lead to heart attacks and strokes.
Exactly. It's like the communication breakdown leads to a construction crew building a wall where it shouldn't be.
So a tiny glitch in a cellular pathway can have these huge, life-altering consequences. It's incredible and a bit terrifying.
It's true, and the impact of Notch dysfunction extends even further. Research suggests that it may also be implicated in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
Wow, it seems like notch signaling has a hand in almost every aspect of our health.
It really does. It highlights how fundamental this pathway is to maintaining balance in our bodies. But here's the good news. The more we learn about Notch, the better equipped we are to develop targeted therapies for these diseases.
So it's not all doom and gloom. There's hope on the horizon.
Absolutely. Think of it like we're building a toolbox with each new discovery about Notch. We're adding a new tool that can help us repair and restore this crucial pathway.
So are scientists already working on ways to fix notch signaling when it goes wrong?
They're exploring ways to both activate and inhibit the Notch pathway depending on the disease. For instance, in cancers where Notch is overactive, scientists are developing drugs that can inhibit the pathway, essentially putting the brakes on uncontrolled cell growth.
And for conditions where notch signaling is too low, could we boost it to restore normal function?
That's the goal. It's a promising area of research, and the potential to treat a wide range of diseases by modulating Notch signaling is immense.
It's amazing to think that such a tiny pathway holds so much potential for improving human health.
It really is a testament to the power of scientific inquiry and the importance of understanding even the most intricate details of our biology.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the notch signaling pathway. And I have to say, it's been an incredible journey, from building our bodies to influencing our health throughout life. Notch is a true cellular superhero.
And just like any superhero, it needs our help sometimes. By understanding how this remarkable pathway works, we can develop new tools to keep it functioning properly and in turn improve our own health.
We've gone from tiny cellular keys and doors to grand orchestras and rogue dancers, all thanks to the fascinating world of the notch signaling pathway. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. See you next time.